Welcome to the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Dekker Team, and I'm Yetta Dekker, and today I am here with my, well, I'd say favorite sidekick, except then I get in a lot of trouble and she takes it all the way to her brother. So anyway, I'm here with Candace St. Louis Dekker.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thanks
for
having me.
Aren't you excited to be here with everybody?
Thrilled, yes.
I know. I think it's good. And so we're going to talk about one of, well, probably answering the most asked question.
Yes.
Which is what?
How is the market, or what is the market doing? I hear it at the soccer field, at my kids' games. I hear it at the grocery store. I hear it through friends at parties. You just hear it everywhere, even when you're not working.
Well, you're always working, aren't
Yes.
you? So what do you mean when you're not working?
Well, when you're not with clients at appointments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So even when you're not with clients at appointments, the most asked question anywhere, if you are a realtor, is what's going on with the market?
Yes.
And that's whether it's a good market or not a great market. It still seems to be the most prevalent single question.
Yeah.
Do you know how to answer it?
I do. I generally say, in regards to why that's a prevalent question, is everyone wants to know their investments. So our largest investments are usually our home, and so that's why they're curious and they want to make sure it's doing well.
Right, or just know where things are at, because knowing where things are at helps a lot, right? And so when you're answering that question, can you make blanket statements, or do you have to sort of get to know their property?
You need to really get to know their property and their location in the city.
Yeah, it helps, doesn't it? So we do offer something called a market snapshot that we would love to email to you on a monthly basis if you'd love to receive it. And if you wouldn't love to receive it, we wouldn't love to email it to you. So it is basically an overview of your neighborhood, your type, whatever you really want as far as criteria goes. We tend to go reasonably loose in that criteria for the market snapshot, so that you can get a good understanding of what's going in and around your community. And that happens once a month. We can send it to you more frequently. I just find if you're not actively in the market of buying or selling right now, then once a month our clients tell us is a nice pace.
Yes.
And you don't actually have to talk to us even when, not that we don't want to talk to you, we'd love to chat with you, and yet you don't have to. It just comes into your inbox, and as long as you look at the Dekker Team custom view, which we've created for our clients, which is a really easy format to review the properties. You can see the 25, sometimes more pictures that are available on the property. And you can also see what it's sold for, the cumulative days on market, the days on market, the comments, all the things that you really need to know to sort of assess it quickly. And it's a nice, fast snapshot.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And you'll see the actives as well as the solds in a given community, and that can be hugely helpful. So we'd gladly offer that to you. So today what we're going to talk about is the general market.
Yes.
In Ottawa.
In Ottawa.
And Ottawa, when we talk about Ottawa, what sort of area are we referring to? How big?
We're talking about the city and towards the country.
Right. So anything in the Ottawa Real Estate Board, which pretty much takes us from the Rideau River all the way out to the St. Lawrence River, and then pretty far on the east and west as well, right? Constance Bay, Fitzroy Harbor, that's all part of our west, and out to Castleman and Rockland on the east side, and a little bit beyond that. So anything in our Ottawa Real Estate Board is what we're referring to. Now, of course, the bulk of the activity is happening closer in, just because there's more property there. There's higher density.
Yes.
So that would be the reason. And so in 2015, we're going to compare 2015 to 2014. We're going to start with the month of May, because that's our most recent stats that we have for a full month. And to pull partial month stats from the Ontario Real Estate Board, we can't really get them, and that they're very accurate. Right? So we'll break it down into a few categories. We're going to start with the freehold, and then we're going to move in the freehold. We're going to talk about the detached home, like that single family home, the townhomes, and the semis.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then we'll go through and do that also for the year. Right? Year over year. So for May over May, 2015 to 2014, the average purchase price in 2015 was $439 of a detached residential home with no condo fees.
That's right.
And the average in 2014 was $426. So that's actually an average increase of 3.2.
That's right.
percent, which is actually really good news. That's May over May, which is excellent. Now, if we look at May over May in the row unit, it went as high as 333 this year.
Wow.
I know, like really, a third of a million.
Yeah.
Pretty much bang on. And last year was 326. So that's an increase of 2.1 on average. Great. It really is great. Because in a market that we've got a fair bit of shift happening, it's really nice to see that in certain pockets the prices are still continuing to be stable and increase slightly.
Increase, yeah.
Yeah. And that's average. So again, we want to look at your specific neighborhood. And if we look at the semis, the average in 2015 was 385. And the average in 2014 was 394.
Right.
Right? And so we've had a little bit of a shift there, 2.6 different. So actually I reversed those numbers. 395 in 2015 and 385 in 2014.
Okay.
With an increase of 2.6. So overall, we have an increase of 2.6.
That's great.
If we take those three areas and put them together. And so now
in freehold homes.
In the freehold, non-condominium. We'll cover condominium. Candace will go through those stats with you in just a minute. I get to stay with the freehold trend right now. Figured it would be a little bit easier if we separated them, and then if you actually heard a different voice, primarily go through that portion of the number. And so if we're looking year to date, so that's this first 5 months versus last 5 months last year. Okay, so January to May 2015 versus January to May 2014. So the average in the freehold was 419 this year, and last year 416. So an increase of 0.9%. So we can see that May, which is an interesting thing to look at for a minute, May generally on average will be slightly higher than would say January, February, March. Sort of cyclically, we have generally for the year our highest prices in that May, June time frame. And so here we can see that our average for the year is 419, whereas for the month of May alone it was 439. So slightly higher homes are selling, and that's kind of an interesting piece. And when we talk about the townhomes, 322 was the average this year, 323 was the average last year, so that's down 0.2, which is basically flat. Right? And again, you're seeing that difference between the month of May being higher. Now, interesting though, when it comes to the semis, the average in May was basically identical to, for the year to date was identical to the month of May. So 394 and 385. And the others were 395 and 385. So essentially the same. So an increase there of 2.2. And then year to date, year over year, we're an average of 1.1.
Okay.
So very much flat. Right? And then in terms of numbers, it's kind of interesting. How many units is that? What does that mean? And so in 2015, we had 3,510 homes sell.
Wow.
Year to date. And last year we had 3,253. So actually our first almost half is 7.9% up in terms of volume over that same time period in 2014.
Right.
Which is really good news, folks. Like that's just makes my heart happy. Because it's been an interesting season.
Yes.
For a while within our shifting market. And so this is showing great stability. And in the row units, we've had 1,107 this year and 1,111 last year. So we can't really argue about the contrast there. Pretty much flat in terms of volume. And in the semi market, we are actually up 25% in terms of volume.
Wow.
Which is very interesting. So overall, we've got, because there's many fewer of them, there was 449 this year and 358 last year.
Wow.
Which is we haven't seen anything that drastic in a long time in terms of the market moving in that direction into the semi so much more than others. I mean, we're only talking 100 units, right? And yet that's a lot when you talk about percentage. So overall volume, 7.3 up in the freehold category in the first 5 months.
Great.
Is that good news or what?
That's awesome news.
Yeah, so if you want specifics on your neighborhood, you want to call us at 613-860-4663, 613-860-HOME, or you can email us info@Dekker Team and just say, market snapshot, please, and give us a quick description and maybe a phone number if we want to verify some details. We make sure we get you information that is of value to you and really does make a difference for you being informed.
Great.
Yeah. So now you want to talk about the condo market.
Yes, the condos is a little bit of a different story. So we'll start looking at May over May from last year to this year. So in 2015, the average price was $227,000 for a condo row unit. For 2014, it was $250,000. So we have gone down by 8.9%.
Yeah, 9%. In terms of the average. That doesn't mean your specific home has gone down.
No.
And yet you're going to see why that is in a few minutes, unfortunately. And so 227 to 250.
Yeah.
Pretty much 25,000, 23,000 difference, which is a lot in the 200 price range.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, that's in the row units.
That's in the row.
Yeah.
Now in stacked, in 2015, we were at 200,000 even, and in 2014, we were at 231,000. So again, we've gone down by 1.3%. So less, but we're still going down on the overall average price.
And now in the apartments, what are we finding there?
So 2015 is 297, and in 2014 it was 304. So we've gone down 2.2% as well.
Okay. And now total overview is kind of an interesting piece, right? We've gone down from
266.
Well, that's where we are now.
In
May
2015,
over May,
yep. And in 2014 we were at 280. So we've gone down on a total from May to May 4.9%.
In terms of an average purchase price.
So in the condos.
Right. So not terrible. And a lot of that is being driven by the huge amount of condominiums that are being built. This isn't taking into consideration the new construction, and yet it does have an impact.
Yes.
Which is kind of interesting.
Supply and demand.
It really is a supply and demand conversation. There's just many. And so it's a great time to purchase, and it's a great time to retain, right? To keep them, because they often rent out really well and become an awesome investment.
Yes.
And can be a really good buy and hold strategy, especially in a market that is shifting a little bit. Right?
That's right.
And if you're thinking of buying one, the great news is the prices are still good, and there's lots and lots of awesome selection out there.
Yes.
Which is really good. If you're just joining us on the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Dekker Team, we've been talking about market stats. We've covered the residential freehold segment in the first part of the show, and if you missed that, you do want to go back. And again, I remind you that if you'd like a market snapshot, you can reach us and we will get you that for your specific neighborhood, so you don't have to be wondering. Right? And in the condo market, we're just talking about the condos right now. We've done the month of May over the month of May last year, and now Candace is going to share with us year to date, January to May 2015 versus January to May 2014.
Right. A little bit better news for row units 2015 in condos. The average selling price at $232, and in 2014 it was $228. So we've gone up 1.8%.
Well, which is the first time you're hearing us say an increase. So it's really nice to hear an average increase in the condominium row units, which is awesome.
And then in stacked, we have in 2015, 229,000, and in 2014, it was 241,000 was the average selling prices year to date. So that is 5.0 decrease.
Right, on average. That doesn't mean your home's gone down, though, and I think that's an interesting thing to be aware of, because if larger units are selling versus smaller units and vice versa, then that actually changes our average.
Right.
Over a longer period of time, it does start to also become reflective of how much homes are going up or down. In a short period of time, it doesn't really indicate that necessarily.
Right. So as far as apartments go, in 2015, the average selling price was $285. In 2014, it was $289. So not much of a difference, decreased 1.4%.
Right. And overall,
from 2015, we sold at $261. In 2014, $263. So we're talking not much at all, with a 0.7% decrease.
right. So overall, the condominium market is stable.
Yes.
I like the word stable,
Yes.
which is really good. Because overall, Ottawa actually is a nice market to be in. If we could be speaking in other cities, we wouldn't be able to paint such a great picture year over year over year.
Right.
Our average is still somewhere between 5 and 6% increase if you average it over a many year period. And so Ottawa is phenomenal that way. We really only had 3 years where the overall year to date, which was in the mid-90s, actually went down, and they were 0.5%, 1%, 2%, very small decreases. And otherwise, the Ottawa market has remained stable for about 35 years, increasing. So I don't mean stable, I mean increasing at a rate of 5-6% on average.
Right.
Which is wonderful. Great place to live. Everybody tells me Ottawa's the place to be, and now I believe it. And so, number of units in the condo market.
Yes. Row units selling in 2015, 356. And as far as 2014, 372. So again, a little bit of a decrease of 4.3% of units sold from last year and this year.
Okay.
January to May.
Right.
Stacked, 150 sold in 2015, and in 2014, 156. So really not much of a difference. It averages out to 3.8% of a decline.
Right.
Then as far as apartments, in 2015, we sold 594, and in 2014, 586. So we do have an increase of 1.4%.
Yeah.
Of apartments
and what's
from
interesting
year to
is the apartment, when it comes to the condominium market, actually makes up the larger portion, right? If we compare, if we add stacked 2-row units in the condominium market, we actually have fewer of those combined than we do of just a part of apartment style condominium. So the bulk of what is still out there, just over 50% of what is selling in the condominium market is in fact the apartments.
Yes.
Right?
With an increase. Yeah.
And they have an increase in terms of number of units being sold is increased by 1.4.
Yeah.
So overall in 2015 versus 2014, we have how many units that have sold in the condominium segment?
We have 1,110.
Okay, and last year?
1,125.
Which
really isn't much.
Right, so it's a negative 1.3% in terms of the actual overall volume in the condominium market. So again, very stable, not increasing quite the way we would prefer it was.
Right.
And yet the great news with it, it keeps affordability, and that's awesome. And with the interest rates being where they are, that is hugely valuable and helpful. In talking about the market update relative to specific neighborhoods, we thought this time we'd pick 3 that we don't pick every time. We kind of mix it up, go in the greenbelt, out the greenbelt, rural, downtown, kind of all over the place, so that you can get a good sense of what the market is doing in different communities. So today we're going to talk about Hunt Club.
Okay,
and Hunt Club's interesting because it's not that huge an area. So right now in Hunt Club, we have 185 active homes on the market.
For sale, yeah.
Yeah, for sale, with an average of $446,000 in terms of purchase price. So that sits just above the average that has been selling overall in the city.
Right.
Which is kind of interesting. That is our average in Hunt Club area. And there's currently 10 right now that are conditionally sold. So that really is changing from 185 to 196. And that basically covers us until the end of June.
Right.
Right? And so we're looking at an average list price of $446 in the freehold, the detached without condominium market. And then in the condominium market, we are looking at $266 active.
Yes.
on the market with an average list price of $295.
Wow.
Yeah, and then there's 21 condominiums in the Hunt Club area that are currently conditionally sold. And what's interesting there is the ones that are conditionally sold, the average purchase price or list price, we don't know the purchase price until it becomes firm, was only $236. It's just kind of interesting timeline, right, in terms of looking at the different average price points. That's Hunt Club with a quick snapshot. So if you live in Hunt Club, that hopefully was valuable. And if you would like your specific neighborhood in Hunt Club and really breaking it down to your type of house,
Yes.
right? Under the detached, we are still then looking at the single family, the semis, and the townhomes, right? And if we want to move to Barrhaven, what do we have to say there, Candace?
We have 339 active. Currently.
Right, so almost about twice the inventory in Barrhaven than Hunt Club, just because it's a much larger area. Hunt Club, have you seen how big that place has gotten?
You mean Barrhaven?
Yeah, that's what I meant. I meant Barrhaven. Yeah, it's grown significantly over the 2.5 decades that I've been in the industry.
Yeah, well, I lived there 8 years ago, and since then I don't even recognize it.
Yeah, which is neat.
Huge.
Whereas Hunt Club really didn't have anywhere to go.
Right.
So it has stayed essentially the same for the last few decades, essentially.
Yeah.
And in Barrhaven, so we have 339 active and an average purchase price?
443.
Wow, so that is telling us that Barrhaven is having larger and larger homes.
Yes.
Because now our average in Barrhaven, in terms of a list price, is within $3,000 of Hunt Club.
Right. The other thing to consider is Barrhaven has more newer homes. And so you're getting a premium for those new built homes. That's
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. And so we've got how many of those conditionally sold right now?
We have 28 conditionally
And
sold.
what's the average list price of the ones that are conditionally sold?
$435,000. So
So-
not much of a difference.
Yeah, which is interesting. And now in the condo market in Barrhaven, how many do we have on the market?
We have 95 active for sale, and with an average list price of $235,000.
Which is interesting. When we looked earlier, the average around the condominium market, it's sort of sitting very close, isn't it?
So we have 3 conditionally sold
Right.
in that area, and with the average list price of $223,000.
Right. So pretty much flush from what is going on in the overall condominium market. And now Canada's another one. Let's take a quick snapshot of Canada.
Yeah, 370 homes for sale currently, with an average list price of $468,000.
Right. So that's kind of interesting. If we look at Barrhaven and Canada, they're about the same size market. And Canada's average price is actually higher than the average price in Barrhaven. Again, because we've got Canada Lakes, we've got some slightly larger upscale communities there that would be part of what's driving it up. And then we've got some exciting older communities in Canada that have really retained their values well too, haven't they?
So we currently have 36 conditionally sold in Canada,
Right.
with the average list price of those being $366.
Yeah, I always find that fascinating to see where in some segments of the market there's no real contrast between what's typical and what's currently conditionally sold, and in others there's a big difference. So that's fascinating. And in the condo market in Canada?
We have 139 actives for sale, and with an average list price of $251,000.
Okay. So if you're looking for something in that one of those communities or any community, you want to call the Dekker team, and you can tell we know our stats. At least we usually get them right. And if we didn't get one right and you caught us, because I know there's one we didn't get right on this show, we would love for you to call and tell us what it is, and we'll have a draw for a book.
Awesome.
I think that would be appropriate. So one of Ken's books up for the grabs, and maybe we'll even do a second draw if we get enough calls for one of the signed books from John Maxwell that we were able to receive when we just saw him the other day.
Awesome.
Yeah, so call us at 613-860-4663 to tell us what stat we totally messed up, and then we will give you the right stat. I knew it as we were saying it, and I thought, we're just going to have to run with this one. And so let's hope you pick that up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Candace, we have a great property, not in one of those areas that we want to feature, although we do have some amazing properties in those communities for sale right now. And if you're interested in one of them, please call us.
Yes.
And we have one that we think is a unique property and one that really needs to be seen to be appreciated.
Absolutely. It's a great opportunity. So it's on a couple of acres.
Yeah, 2.3, I think.
2.3,
exactly.
Yeah. And it has 4 bedrooms. It's a bungalow, of course, upstairs. So 4 bedrooms upstairs with 3 in the lower level.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
not very common. And it's built in the 2000s, so it's a very newish bungalow. And how many details have been spared?
Not many. It's a walkout basement. It has a storage area as well outside, an outdoor building as well. Finished top to bottom, upstairs and downstairs.
Beautifully, right?
Beautifully, yeah.
It's exquisite.
Yes.
I think is the right word for this. And it's exquisite not only inside. Remember I mentioned, or Candace mentioned, or we both mentioned that it was over 2 acres, 2.3 acres. Actually, all of that 2.3 acres is landscaped.
Yes.
When does that happen?
Not often.
It does not. So if you're looking for something where a landscaper extraordinaire has had their hand at it, that is a property you want to take a look at. It's just located where?
In North Gore. Just
outside North Gore, right? Because in the village, we wouldn't have any 2.3s, I don't think.
No, we wouldn't.
They would be just outside North Gore. If you're interested in that one, you'll want to call Candace.
Yes, that's great. 613-860-4663.
Yeah, and so if you're interested in any property or you have a property to sell and you want us to come out and give you an assessment and help you walk through the process, we would love to do that. And so thanks for joining us on the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Dekker Team. And do remember to call us at 613-860-4663 or email us at info@DekkerTeam and tell us what stat we messed up on. And we'll enter your name in a draw. Have an amazing day and thanks for joining us once again.
Bye for now.
Bye.
What you wanna do?